As this news about Speaker Boehner broke, most of the frontrunners from the GOP presidential field were speaking to the 10th Annual Values Voter Summit in Washington, D.C., trying to score points with one of the most influential voting groups in this country. Joining us now is Tony Perkins. He's president of the Family Research Council, the group that hosts this summit. Tony, great to see you. So what was your
Good evening, Megyn.
What was your thought today on the winners and the losers? Who were the ones who went over the best, did you think?
Well, I think Ted Cruz did well, Marco Rubio did well, Mike Huckabee did well. Really, everybody that came here did well. In fact, Donald Trump came and got a very warm reception here.
So there were no losers. There was nobody who ticked off the voters.
I don't think you lose when you show. No, not really, because I think they're looking these. There's so many candidates in the race. The social conservative voters are looking for a way to decide who they want to support, and this is one way, hearing them up close and talking to them. So they're very receptive. Now, Donald Trump did get a boo when he took a shot at Marco Rubio, but it was a very warm reception that he got, and this is not necessarily his crowd, so I give him credit for coming here and talking to him.
Explain why, if you're talking to a group of social conservatives, it's not all, Cruz, Carson, Huckabee. I mean, why would these voters even listen to anybody other than those core guys who are standing up for what they believe?
Well, because I think that you look at the social conservative voters are much more complex than people give them credit for. They care about the economy. They care about national defense. In fact, we began this morning with Senator John McCain. He's clearly not a favorite from this group, but they respect his stand on national security. They respect his stand for what he's been doing for religious freedom in the military. And so he received a very warm reception.
How big is this vote? How big is this group?
It's big.
And how important is it to the GOP election?
Well, the reason you saw most of them here today is because 50% of primary vote comes from social conservative voters. In the general election,
50%?
Yes. When you look across the country, it's about 50%. Some places, Iowa's even higher. But when you look at the general election, it's still about a third of the vote. So it's a significant voting bloc for Republican candidates.
Why didn't, we're going to talk to Rand Paul a little later. I'll ask him why he didn't go. Why didn't Carly Fiorina show up? She's, surging in the polls. You'd think she would want to speak to this group.
Yeah, this would be a very good group for her. I was told that she had a conflict and it was a confusion in the campaign. It was a missed opportunity for her because clearly, based on the last debate, some of her comments, I think she would have been very well received here. It's been a very interesting day in watching the interaction of the voters. It's one of our largest gatherings to date. But to what you were talking about earlier, the biggest applause line today was when Marco Rubio actually announced that John Boehner was resigning. That's been the biggest applause line for the entire day.
Why? What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's not an issue of, John Boehner's a nice guy. But why you see Donald Trump and Carly and Dr. Carson, outsiders, doing so well, is that it's not that people expect Republicans to win every battle they fight. They're tired of them running to the battle, waving a white flag. They want them to fight for something they believe in. And we're seeing that unfold right now when it comes to the taxpayer funding of Planned Parenthood, an organization that's trafficking in baby body parts, but yet they're not willing to fight. And people are tired of that. And John Boehner, quite frankly, his back was against the wall, and this was his way out. What
would you say was the biggest issue that was discussed today, the biggest issue that resonated with the voters there?
Well, Megyn, I think it wasn't a single issue, but it was probably the predominant issue, and that was religious freedom. And that is a change from last year and the year before, although it's been discussed under the policies of this administration and the Pope's recent visit. The issue of being able to live your life, to live out your beliefs, is a major issue with social conservative voters. And every one of the candidates, including Donald Trump, talked about that today.
And is that why we didn't see, for example, Chris Christie there or John Kasich, some others who have not been as forceful on these issues?
I really struggled.
It's likely we invited all those candidates, and in fact, we opened the door. We'd love to have them all here, but I think they would have a hard time talking to some of these voters. And so again, I think those that were wanting to get the support of this voting bloc talked to them today, and they were all treated very, very well.
Great to see you, Tony. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Megyn.